The Tourist Who Never Found the Exit. Paris Catacombs Horror Story. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you got trapped beneath an entire city? Not trapped in a building, not trapped in a cave. Trapped beneath millions of bones with no sunlight, no phone signal, and hundreds of miles of tunnels stretching in every direction. Because that's exactly what happened to one traveler who entered the Paris Catacombs with a guide and never expected to be left alone. According to the story, it began like any other underground tour. A traveler visiting Paris wanted something different from the usual landmarks. Instead of seeing the Eiffel Tower or the Louvre, he booked a private tour of the catacombs. The guide had been leading tours for years. He knew shortcuts, restricted passages, even sections that weren't marked on official maps. At first, everything seemed normal. The guide explained how the catacombs held the remains of millions of people, walls built entirely from skulls, bones stacked floor to ceiling, entire corridors made from human remains. The deeper they went, the colder it became. The sounds of the city disappeared. No traffic, no voices, nothing. Just the echo of their footsteps. Nearly an hour into the tour, they reached a section rarely visited by tourists. The tunnels narrowed, the ceilings dropped lower. The guide seemed uncomfortable. Several times he looked behind them as if checking whether someone was following. The traveler asked if something was wrong. The guide laughed, then said something strange. "People get lost down here all the time." At first it sounded like a joke, but he didn't smile. A few minutes later, everything changed. The guide suddenly stopped walking. He grabbed the wall. His flashlight slipped from his hand. Then he collapsed. At first, the traveler thought he had tripped. But the guide wasn't moving. His face looked wrong, one side completely limp. His speech had become impossible to understand. The traveler immediately realized something was seriously wrong. The guide was having a stroke. Panic set in. There was no signal underground, no way to call for help, no idea where the nearest exit was. The guide was conscious but unable to communicate. The traveler tried helping him walk, but after only a few minutes it became clear he couldn't continue. The guide pointed weakly down one tunnel, then another, then stopped moving entirely. The traveler had a choice: stay beside him and hope someone eventually came, or try to find an exit. He chose the exit, and that's when the real nightmare began. The tunnels all looked identical. Every turn led to another turn. Every corridor ended in 3 more corridors. The traveler began marking walls with chalk. At least that was the plan, because 20 minutes later he found one of his marks, then another, then realized he had somehow walked in a complete circle. The temperature seemed to drop even further. His flashlight was already getting weaker. Then he heard something. Footsteps, not his own. At first they sounded distant, a soft scraping somewhere behind him. He stopped. The sound stopped. He walked again. The sound returned. One step, then another, always matching his pace. He swung the flashlight behind him. Nothing. Just endless darkness between walls of skulls. He started walking faster. The footsteps started walking faster. Now he was certain. Someone else was down there. Or something. His breathing became heavier. The flashlight beam shook violently. Every shadow looked like a person standing still. Every pile of bones looked ready to move. Then he turned a corner and froze. There was a figure standing at the end of the tunnel, far away, perfectly still. The traveler called out. No response. He moved closer. The figure didn't move. But as the flashlight reached it, it wasn't a person. Just a cluster of bones arranged in a shape that looked human. He laughed nervously, relieved. Then heard the footsteps again, this time directly behind him. He spun around. Nothing. But now the footsteps weren't matching him anymore. They were moving independently, getting closer. The traveler ran. His camera bounced wildly as he sprinted through the darkness. Left turn, right turn, another tunnel, another corridor. The sounds followed, echoing through the catacombs. Closer, closer, closer. He had no idea where he was anymore. The flashlight flickered, once, twice, then almost died completely. In the weak light he noticed something horrifying. The tunnel ahead ended, a dead end. He turned around. Silence. The footsteps had stopped. For several seconds there was nothing. Then a shape slowly appeared at the far end of the corridor. Too dark to identify, too tall to recognize, standing perfectly still. Watching. The traveler backed away. The flashlight dimmed further. The figure remained motionless. Then it took a step forward. The camera dropped. The image spun sideways. All that could be seen were bones and darkness. The traveler screamed. The sound echoed endlessly through the tunnels, then suddenly cut off. The recording continued for another 37 seconds. No movement, no voices, no explanation, just darkness. And somewhere in the distance, footsteps, slowly approaching the camera. The footage ends there. No one knows whether the story is true. No missing traveler was ever officially linked to the recording. No figure was ever identified. But among explorers of the Paris Catacombs, one warning continues to appear over and over again. If you ever hear footsteps underground, and they aren't yours, don't stop walking.